I've chosen to make this video and the channel subsequently to attempt to be a forum for a topic of conversation that I really feel is specific, and it'll only draw what I think is a pretty niche audience, or not. I don't know. This might be something that really appeals broadly, even though I don't necessarily believe that it will. But that issue is firearms and political stance. And why do I not think this is going to be popular? Because these issues seem to be pretty cemented one way or the other in this country. There is this cliche that if you're very into firearms, which I am, you're going to fall pretty hard onto the right side of the fence. And conversely, if you're a very liberal-minded person, you're probably not too into guns. Why am I in an interesting position? Because from a social standpoint, from an economic standpoint, yeah, I see things very liberally. Maybe not very liberally, but certainly liberally. As far as gay rights goes, as far as what I think business should be like, as far as regulations on pollution and things like that go, yep, I'm liberal all the way. However, I feel that guns have kind of been swept up unfairly over to one side more than the other. Here's why I want to open up the floor to dialogue. I am a convert story. So is my good friend, I believe, that asked me to make this video. And what I mean by that is, I was raised in a house that very firmly believed that guns, and you're going to find this ironic if you're far on the right side, guns were for wimps, not the other way around. And what I mean by that is, I have met several fellows in gun stores, at Walmart, school, you name it. These big, fat guys, barrel-gutted dudes. You walk into a gun shop, they got their gut on the counter, and they're talking about that cold November night, and they heard a commotion, and they had their firearm and whatever. And the sad reality is, you're not tough, man. You're just a wuss hiding behind a gun. I still believe that, and I've gotten really into firearms, and I will tell you, owning a firearm doesn't make you tough. Hickok 45 will tell you that. Owning a firearm, being proficient with a firearm, doesn't make you bad to the bone, you know, in a tough sense. I was raised to believe that if you get in a fight, you knock somebody out. And just to, you know, kind of explain this, and I'm not saying anything about myself, but yes, I started working for the Sheriff's Department 6 years ago. I now work in a mental health facility as a security officer, and daily I am forced to use physical maneuvers that I've been trained on. I'm very comfortable with that, very comfortable with it. So as far as this cliched notion that if you're a liberal person, you know, you're automatically this wimp, okay? And I'm using gentle speech, and I prefer that you do too if you get involved with this channel. But I understand that, you know, there's going to be some emotional responses that might elicit certain vocabulary choices that may have to be, you know, kindly overlooked. However, the point of this video is, I think there's more of us out there. And I'm saying us, because we're a minority, man. Try finding somebody that believes, this is for real. I don't, moralistically, okay, believe that homosexuality is wrong. I don't. I think love is love. I don't think you can help anything in life. If you fall in love with somebody, you can't help it. As far as that kind of stuff goes, to clear up what I'm saying, of course you can help, you know, doing something bad or whatever it is. I don't think homosexuality is bad. But I also believe that if you are homosexual and you don't feel comfortable defending yourself, you should carry a firearm. Because, and here's where the real irony comes in, if a cliched truck of good old boys pulls up and they want to beat up a faggot, I would prefer that that faggot blast those guys away with whatever it is that he's carrying. That's the kind of world I think is fair. So now you kind of have a balance, right? And I think that by being in the middle on a lot of things, you can make more sound decisions overall, right? So here's what I'd really like to do. If I can, I would love to undemonize firearms to very liberal-minded people. This is not a crusade. This is not me trying to charm people that aren't into firearms into it. If you're not into guns, man, hey, you know, there's plenty of other things to get into. You can never have enough hobbies in this life, I don't think. But what I'd like to share with you is, I hated the idea of shooting a gun. Hated it. I had no interest in it at all. And I'll tell you something else. When I was at the sheriff's department, I had a training officer pull me aside, and he kind of knew the kind of guys I was going to meet, and he probably saw this coming. And he's just like, listen, man, he's like, are you into guns? And I was like, no, not really. He's like, good, don't get into guns. And I kind of like looked at him like, well, why not? You know, not that I was really that interested, but he's just like, he's like, if you get into guns, he's like, before you know it, you're going to spend all the money you have. You're going to have to get every, you know, caliber, whatever, and then you're going to, you know, find revolvers, and then you're going to, you know, oh, these classic long arms or whatever it is, and it's going to consume your life. That was his concern for me. He didn't want to see me go broke. He wanted to see me buy a house, be successful, whatever. And I couldn't understand any of that, you know, at the time. And I have a very, very good friend of mine that did get into firearms very heavily, and he was trying to convince me to go shooting forever. I mean, forever, like probably a few years. I had no interest. Not really. It sounded expensive. You know, I was just like, if I want to do something intense, I'm going to go to a heavy metal show. Or I'm going to jump out of a plane, or I'm going to do something, you know, crazy, you know, for a rush. I didn't understand how shooting a gun could be a rush. It didn't make any sense to me. It just sounded like a waste. Well, I had some plans fall through one day. I was hanging out with this guy, and he's like, why don't we go shooting, man? Why don't we go shooting? And I was kind of out of excuses. I was kind of out of reasons to say no one more time, you know, and I'd said no lots of times in the past. And I was just like, you know what, man, let's do it. Let's just go. And he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So we went. And I hated it. I hated it. Not because, you know, it was this evil, terrible thing. I hated it because I wasn't good at it. I was, I don't know, under the impression that that I was going to be able to pick up a gun and point it and shoot it, and it was going to go where I pointed it, and I was, you know, that was going to be it, and that's how it works. This opened up the doors to a lot of different trains of thought pretty quickly. One, this is something you really got to get good at over a long period of time, which was just something that didn't really occur to me, which I'm sure is laughable to you right now, as it's hilarious to me now. But the other thing is it opened up my eyes to the fact that I don't really know anything about the reality of guns. That's really important. I don't know anything about the reality of guns. That's what I want to really clue you guys in on here. And we were leaving the range, and my friend's like, oh, what'd you think? What'd you think? What'd you think? And I was just like, I don't know. You know, and I got really frustrated. After a few magazines, you know, I wasn't putting my shots anywhere close to what I was trying to do, and I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anything about proper stance or grip or, you know, the sight picture or nothing, right? Teacup in the thing, by the way, there's a picture of me teacup in the thing, right? Which no one decided to point out to me then. But for like the next week, I caught myself while I was driving my car, while I was at work, and I was thinking about it, and I was thinking like, well, what would I do differently? What the hell was going on there? So I started prowling the internet, and something very significant happened. And I hope he hears this. Hickok, if you ever hear this, oh man, I hope you do, but I didn't know that name Hickok 45 back then, right? So I do a search on YouTube, because hey, you know, YouTube's great for lots of stuff like this. And I find this guy, Hickok 45, right? He's got a 3-part video on how to shoot a pistol, right? So I watched these videos, and I learned quite a bit. And the other thing that happened was I found Hickok, and why is that so significant? I found a guy that wasn't your atypical right-wing, pushy kind of guy that talk to you like you're an idiot. Like, my biggest beef with a guy like Glenn Beck is that he talks to you like you're a moron. You know, I can't stand that stuff. A lot of people love that. There's a lot of guys that love very right-wing oriented speakers. You know, to me, that's just, ugh, it's like nails on a chalkboard. So here's this guy, he's very well-spoken, articulate, intelligent, not agenda-pushing, and guess what he's doing? He's laughing, okay, every time he takes a shot, clearly enjoying himself, and that guy is out there having the time of his life, doing something that he loves, and it was that simple. It was that cut and dry. And this radically blew the lid off of this kind of door that I had bolted shut, you know, from a pretty young age. And so, all of a sudden, I started opening my mind to the idea of very much enjoying recreational target shooting. Not stocking up some giant ammo surplus supply like I'm in some cult or whatever like this. That's a very liberal, cliched idea, by the way. All of a sudden, I realized there's a whole host of folks just having fun. And then I started going to the range, and I remember there's this very cute girl, you know, probably about my age, there with her father, who was much older, and he's teaching her how to shoot. You know, they got this like 22 long rifle or whatever, and I started seeing all the families, you know, younger people, older people, very older people. I would see these old farmer guys, right? I'm in Wisconsin, by the way. These old farmer guys going in to shoot. I mean, and they're gotta be in their 80s, you know, and it's something they still enjoy. Their grandkids are there. I had never been exposed to this culture. And all of a sudden I started to understand these people just want the best for them and theirs. That's what they want. They don't have some wacko agenda where they're, you know, they're gonna overthrow whatever, you know, all these ideas that I think are kind of spoon-fed to us. So also I started realizing that I don't completely agree with the really liberal side of things anymore either. In fact, I had a really strange thing happen. I had an email sent to me from a political organization urging me to take action against the NRA. And they had these like quotes from these Democratic people that I probably would have been pretty interested in a couple of years ago. And I smelled BS. Bad. In fact, they had some excerpts that talked about how most, this is for real now, in fact I should probably just read it to you, but it said something like, most members of the NRA strongly disagree that assault weapons should be legal. First of all, I don't think most people in the NRA would agree that most of what's being called an assault weapon is an assault weapon. And secondly, I don't know. So anyway, I started realizing that I was very torn, I was very caught in the middle. And I started talking to some of my other friends and realizing they felt the same way. And here's what I want to say to both sides, okay? In the wake of this tragedy in Connecticut and all these things, I had a real moment. The day that I found out about the shootings is what we should really call them, because there's 26 people that lost their lives, completely innocent people for no reason, lost their lives. And that really shook me up bad. I think it shook up I know it shook up everybody, but I, honest to God, had a moment where I thought, what have I gotten into? What have I gotten into? I've gotten so into firearms in the last year especially. You know, I just set up an ammo reloading room, you know, and I really had a for real moment where I questioned everything that I had come to accept, you know, over a relatively short period of time. And I had to take a really long walk with myself and kind of get some answers. And I wanted to share them with you guys. And my friend urged me to make the video for this reason. Here's what I came up with. And this is going to be a completely personal thing. You guys are going to have to ask yourselves this. Or you don't. Or you've already gone through this in previous events or whatever it's been. But for the very liberal person that has all these problems with firearms, here's what I want you to hear that I've come up with. I have been, on several occasions, not once or twice, but on a few occasions, I have been as angry as I could ever be possible at someone else, right? Like, no matter what happened, I couldn't have been angrier in that moment than I was just then. And you know what? I didn't pick up a hammer and bludgeon somebody. I didn't throw someone down the stairs or poison their food or hit them with my car or build a bomb and blow them up or whatever it is. And since those moments, I have become a firearms owner. And guess what? The last thing I would ever consider doing, ever, is using my firearm to offensively harm someone. You know why? Because the gun doesn't make any difference. If you're going to kill someone in the heat of a rage, whatever's around you, your hands, anything, that's what's going to happen. And so what I'm saying is, I know I couldn't possibly be pushed far enough to kill someone, okay? Not defending my life, just because I'm angry, or just because of whatever. It's not in me. And guess what? Almost all of you watching this, I don't think it's in you either. I don't think it is. My roommate and I got into a very serious conversation about this, and he doesn't feel this way exactly. And what I said is, you know what, man? If I took my Glock out of my room and I gave it to you and I put it in your room, I was like, do you think you'd kill me? And he's like, of course I wouldn't kill you, and that's not the point, and blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, now hang on. So if you had my gun, you don't think you'd be any more likely to hurt me? And he's like, well, no, blah, blah. And it's like, but that's really it. That's really, honest to God, it, guys. If you have it in you, okay, to kill anybody, to hurt anybody, you're going to do it. And if you don't, it doesn't matter what you have, because you won't. So when you see guys at Knob Creek that have all these machine guns, okay, and they collect them, they're serious collectors, that's their passion, guys. You might be, into jet skis or snowmobiles or little cars or a stamp collection or thimbles or whatever it is that you're into. You know, that's just you. And these guys enjoy firing fully automatic weapons under very safe conditions with their friends, and they get a kick out of it. And it's something they can share. It's a hobby. It's a culture, okay? And that's a very difficult thing for anyone to understand that's never shot before. And as a guy like Hickok will tell you, if you don't really like guns, you probably haven't shot yet. That's kind of what happens. And even like me, the first time I went, I was uncomfortable. I was irritated. And then I realized why. It's because I wasn't very good at it. And what I didn't realize was happening was I was obsessing with going back to get it right. Because I'm a perfectionist, and that's what I do. And since then, I've found a real love of shooting. It's a very cathartic thing. Is that fair to say? Can we say that? You can go to the range, you put on your eye protection, you put in your ear protection. You don't have to talk to anybody if you don't want to, and you can just do your thing. You can just get in the zone. You can get very centered, and then you leave, and you just it's a break from the monotony of your life or whatever it is. And I don't think you should have to feel like somebody thinks you're a psycho for enjoying that. It's ridiculous. It's as silly as, and guys, use this equation, like you went bowling, you went and played darts, whatever it is, play basketball, whatever it is that you like doing. I just think it's really lousy that we live in a country where no one has been able to explain that the recreational shooting of firearms shouldn't be demonized. It just shouldn't. But I'll tell you something, guys. If you're really far on the right, side of things, and you're calling people idiots, and you're saying, you damn liberals, you don't get it and stuff, that doesn't help anybody. That doesn't help you, right? It doesn't help them. It doesn't help them understand. And then there's me sitting in the middle going, guys, right? And that's where I think a lot of maybe younger people are. Maybe, I don't know. So if this page can do anything, I hope it can open some constructive conversation on truly expanding the sports, right? Bringing people in that weren't shooters before and showing them how enjoyable it can be. And if they don't choose to engage in that hobby, at least they can maybe see a different side of it and say, you know what, like that's not for me. It's just not. It's annoying. I don't want to clean guns. It's expensive. Whatever it is. But I get it. I get it. And rock on. Let them do their thing. So, if anybody has any thoughts on this, right? I'd love to see your comments, post-response videos, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, I'd love to see what could come out of this kind of channel. I'd love to get to meet some of you guys. I'd love to talk. I'd love to hear your thoughts, because I am pretty isolated here. I know Fate of Destiny lives in Wisconsin, and she's told you that, yeah, you know, it's not easy to find people that are really, really, really into shooting. And it's kind of like all I want to do these days. Not because I'm crazy, but because it's fun. And it's my new favorite escape from my day-to-day life. Yeah, I hope you guys subscribe. I hope you participate. And I hope you kind of maybe help us bring in some new shooters. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thank you for your time. I know it ran long. But anyway, thanks guys.